Hey folks, it is May 14th, 2024, back here at Boardwalk Hall. Last year, when the Grand Cornet stop, which is what's here on my right, came back online in October, I did a video about it, and I had the sound settings for this camera set the wrong way because I just bought it, and the sound quality on that video was pretty abysmal. And so I've always wanted to redo it. So I'm mic'd up, I got my wireless mic here, and this should be a lot better. So to review, this is the Grand Cornet 11 ranks, the largest mixture or compound stop in the mid-Merloche organ. And it consists of 11 ranks of pipes on 20 inches of wind pressure. So even the softer pipes in this organ in this stop are still pretty assertive. Now I'm going to pull a couple of the pipes out and bring them up to the camera to show some details of them later. But remember, for those of you that might be disturbed that I'm not wearing gloves, everything has been stripped and recoated with new shellac over the lead, so it's okay. I got permission to do that, and quite frankly, in the organ business, a lot of times spotted metal pipes, unless there's some reason, some extenuating circumstance, generally don't need to use gloves if you're handling them just a little bit. So anyway, when I was up here last time, Andrew McKeon and I took a set of calipers and did some measurements on these ranks, and it's interesting to compare what they were supposed to be with what they actually are. And most of the time they're pretty close, but some are a little off. So the ranks are arranged in order from lowest to highest pitch from the front of the grill to where I'm standing here on this walkboard. So the front rank out there is the 10 2/3 pitch of this rank, which is a straight-sided principal. It's just a very average principal stop, a principal rank of pipes, and it has a the mouth width is 19.4%, so that's approximately 20%, which means it's, in organ parlance, almost a fifth, which is on the narrow side. So the pipe isn't going to be quite as energized as it would be if there was a greater percentage. And the cut up is 54%, which is way up there. I mean, that's pretty high. Most of the cut up parameters in this stop are quite high. So you have the 10 2/3, then you have the 8-foot principal, 8-foot pitch behind it. These pipes are somewhat special because they are flared. They're not double languid, but they are flared outward by about 3 scales, like a trumpet pipe or something, but obviously they're flue pipes. But obviously the senator wanted some extra definition there, so he made the 8-foot pitch larger scale and flared. And the mouth width on that is heading toward a quarter. It's kind of between a quarter and a fifth, and it's cut up 42%, so a little less than a half. The next rank is 5 1/3, and it's again a straight-sided principal stop, nothing unusual. 1/5 width mouth, 20%. So again, the narrower because it's the off unison, and then it's cut up about 54%. So it's got the pretty high cut up. But overall, again, just a standard principal with a 1/5 mouth. The 4-foot is special because it's double languid, and I'm going to reach over here. Don't worry, we're good. And that is actually the 5 1/3 stop. I meant to get this one. Let's see, is this C? Yes. Okay. This is the 4-foot pitch of this stop, and this is a double languid set of pipes. And so I'm going to come up to the camera, and hopefully the autofocus will take care of this. That's a little bit hard to see down in there, but there is a second languid in there, right there. And the pipes are marked C4, 4 rank 49. But this, I believe, is the only double languid set in this stop. And you can see the seam for the double languid around the back there. Careful. Okay, now 3 1/5. And here we start to get into the mutation series. And as you can see, the 3 1/5 is a narrow-scaled flute pipe that's tapered the opposite of the 8-foot. It is tapered to be smaller. And it is, the mouth width on that is about 1/5, cut up 60%, but part of that is explained by the fact that it has an arched cut up, not a straight cut up. I'm going to come up to the camera on this one. And here it says 49 G core, 5 rank, 10 C, and then etched in there, scratched into the metal, it says 1/5. I don't know, I can't really tell if the camera's picking that up or not. I can't really see it. But it's hand scratched in there, hand engraved. It says 1/5, which means it's supposed to be 1/5 mouth, 1/5 width. And actually, it's pretty close. It's 21.4%. So it said that it was supposed to be a 5th mouth, and it is, basically. You'll see that this isn't always the case. Okay, next rank is the 2 2/3 harmonic flute. And it is, the mouth on this one is kind of halfway between a 5th and a 4th at 23%, cut up about a half. And this one does not have a mouth width scratched into the bottom of the pipe. It just says voice number 49, 6th rank, 12 for 2 2/3 C. But as you can see, that's just a regular old harmonic flute. But we have a harmonic flute. Already we have a regular open pipes, flared, and double languid, and harmonic flutes. Next rank, 2 2/7. And here we have again a tapered open flute of narrow scale. And we're way off, into the odd numbered harmonics now. So the senator wanted this to be apparently relatively quiet within the ensemble. Now if we come up here, again, it says 49 Grand Cornet, 7 rank, 2 2/7 C, and then again, I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but it says 1/5. Excuse me. It's actually scratched in there that it says 1/5, which is the mouth width. And this one, again, ends up being sort of halfway between. It's 22% we measured, so it's not quite a 5th or a 4th. It's kind of in between, cut up about 58%. Okay, now here we have the 2-foot pitch. Big strapping, honking, big scale unison rank, which appears to be flared a little bit. Maybe that's just the way it looks, but I think it may be flared. And the mouth on this one is a 1/4. Let's see, does it say that on there? Yes. So here we have a unison pitch, and the mouth is wider, deliberately. And I don't know if you can read that, but there's all the parameters, and then scratched in at the bottom there it says 1/4, which, given how big this is, how large scale this is, you make the pipe larger scale and you give it a wider mouth, more power. I don't know if you can hear in the background, Brant Duddy is downstairs in the voicing room working on a string from the swell division. I'm hearing some kind of odd harmonics going on there. Okay, rank 9, 1 3/5, and kind of like the, well, no, not like the 3 1/5. This 1 3/5 is straight-sided, typical pipe, kind of a principal, kind of a flute, kind of in between. And engraved on the bottom of it. It says I think that says 2/9. I don't think the camera's going to be able to see that at all, but it's scratched in there. And that would kind of make sense because, well, no, it says that it's supposed to be 2/9, but it's 1/4. So the mouth ended up being wider than what is specified, what somebody scratched on the pipe. So that's 1 3/5. Then we have 1 1/3, and here we are back in harmonic flute territory. Just like the 2 2/3, the 1 1/3 is a harmonic flute, and he has scratched into him 1/5. So here we are again on an off unison, and the pipe says that it's supposed to be 1/5. The mouth actually measured halfway between a 1/5 and a 1/4, so more like 2/9. There you can see that. And then finally, rank 11 is a 1 foot, which is just, again, a standard principle. And it says that it's supposed to be a 1/5 mouth pipe. It's scratched in there. And we measured it at 21.6%, so just slightly wider than a 1/5. Just typical straight up principal pipe with a high cut up, so it's kind of fluty, but basically a principal pipe. Again, a unison, and it's louder. It's not a harmonic flute, it's not tapered in, it's just regular old straight up principal pipe. So there you have it. Don't worry, those will come back into tune. Yeah, my hand warmed them up a little bit, but nobody's playing the organ today, so by the time it comes around again, it'll be fine. So that concludes this part up here in the organ, and now my plan is to edit in the part from the voicing room done last year with some additional thoughts on that. Okay, class, let's review our basic acoustics, shall we? Now, remember that pipe organs are built and the tonal structures are generally built on a solid foundation of basic acoustics and harmonic theory. And so I prepared this little chart here, and we'll review about how harmonics work. Cliff Notes version. Remember that for any fundamental sound you have, the harmonics are simply multiples, whole number integer multiples of the foundation pitch. So let's say that 8 foot C here is 100 cycles per second. It isn't, but let's just say it is. 100 cycles per second or 100 hertz. Hertz and cycles per second are the same thing. So if 8 foot C was 100 hertz, the next harmonic up would be 200 hertz. The next harmonic would be 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, and so on. Theoretically to infinity and beyond. But we don't generally worry about anything above number 11 here. There's a reason that we stop when it goes to 11. But generally speaking, when you have a stop in an organ or a chorus, you try to have everything within one system like this. Now I made this chart here illustrating the 8 foot harmonic series. So we're starting at what we would consider unison pitch of 8 foot. 8 foot C. So the bottom note of the keyboard would be 8 foot C, pipe approximately 8 feet long. The first harmonic is the 4 foot octave, and then the second harmonic, or if you will, sometimes the terminology gets confusing because some people call the fundamental the first harmonic, but that's the first one, that's unison, and so it depends on what you call them going up, but for these purposes I'll just do it the way I had it here. So the second harmonic is the 4 foot, 2 2/3, 2, 1 3/5, 1 1/3, 1 1/7, 1, 8 9ths, 4/5, and 8 11ths. And I stopped here because that's all the harmonics that this organ contains. I'm here at Boardwalk Hall, of course, and I'm actually in the voicing room for this little talk. Brant went home for the day, so I can take over the voicing room. So you have this structure. Now, all these odd-numbered harmonics in here are related to the unison in the mathematical scheme because they all fit together. And if you take one harmonic minus the next harmonic, you always get the fundamental. That's just the way the math works out. You can shift this up an octave or down an octave, or up or down any number of octaves if you wanted to, so to speak. But these are the harmonics of 8 foot of unison tone. And you'll notice that most pipe organs have these stops. I mean, let's forget about from 1 1/7 up. Those are kind of unusual. Only larger organs have these. But up to 1 1/3, most organs out there over 10 ranks are going to have all these in there. So let's take a look at this Grand Cornet that the Sander designed and figure out why it's so strange. And it is strange. It starts out, the lowest rank is a 10 2/3 foot pitch. Okay, that's off the chart down here. Here's 10 2/3. It would be off down here somewhere. But the problem is that 10 2/3 is not part of the 8 foot series, because everything has to be shifted the same amount every octave. So if we made this 16 foot, it would be 16, 8, 5 1/3, 4, and so on. So it's not even in the 16 foot series. It's in the 32 foot series. The 10 2/3 is the third harmonic of the 32 foot series. Not 16, not 8. Okay, now keep that in mind. So then the next rank up on the cornet is the 8 foot. Right there. Okay, fine, unison pitch. The next rank is 5 1/3. Again, you don't see it on here because 5 1/3 is the third harmonic of the 16 foot series. So as if this whole chart was shifted down an octave, you'd have 16, 8, 5 1/3. And that's the next rank. So we already have a harmonic of 32, a unison, and then a harmonic of 16. And I actually have to look at my notes here to remember how many, all the harmonics in this thing, even I can't keep them straight. So then the next rank is a 4 foot, okay? Works. Any octaves you can pretty much get away with, but the next rank is, stop number 4 is the 4 foot. And he made that a double languid extra loud to reinforce the unison pitch. So then the next rank is a 3 1/5. Okay, and remember it's tapered. 3 1/5 is the equivalent of this 1 3/5. But again, it's of the 16 foot series. You would have 16, 8, 5 1/3, 4, 3 1/5. So we've got another one of those 16 foots in there, another 16 foot harmonic. Okay, then the next rank is a 2 2/3. And here's 2 2/3. It's in the 8 foot series again. So now we've gone up into the 8 foot harmonic series with the third harmonic of 8 foot. Okay. The next rank beyond that is a 2 2/7. What's that? Okay, here's 1 1/7 right here in the 8 foot. So can you guess? 2 2/7 is of the 16 foot series. So now we have 5 1/3, 3 1/5, 2 2/7, all of which are harmonics of 16 foot. Of the 16 foot series, not the 8 foot series. Then going on from there, we have a 2 foot. Works in any series. There it is, another unison. And then we have a 1 3/5, a 1 1/3, and a 1 as the top 3 ranks. And look where they are. They're on this chart right there. They are 3 harmonics of the 8 foot series. And they're odd number ones, so they're going to make a fairly strong resultant on their own. So to sum up, okay, anytime you play a note, one note on this cornet, you are generating resultants of 32, 16, and 8 all at the same time. I have no idea why he did that. That goes contrary to most organ building practice. Not all. Anything I say, there are going to be exceptions to it. I'll tell you that right now. But the bottom line is that it doesn't make sense to have parts of different harmonic series mixed up in one stop like this, as far as I can see, because any stops you add to it, you're not getting one line. It's not unusual, I'm quoting Tom Jones' lyrics here, it's not unusual to have a Grand Cornet 16-foot pitch. A lot of organs have that, and then a regular cornet, and then on another manual you might have the whole thing shifted up an octave to 4-foot even. And in the pedal, you have a 32-foot cornet, no big deal, makes a nice rumble down there. But to put that on the manuals, I don't get it. But there it is. That's what we... So I'm editing this video right now in the organ shop, right here. And as it was pointed out to me by Henrik Berg, piano organist, in a comment on the last video, the higher harmonics of this stop can be considered to be upper partials of the 16-foot series, which is true. And that didn't occur to me. I only thought of them as being part of the 8-foot series, but really, yeah, he's right. And so in the end, I will say that this is a 16-foot cornet. It has that 10 2/3 tacked onto it. I don't know why, but at the end of the day, it is basically a straight up 16-foot cornet. I'll just leave it at that. Now, another word about the pipe forms. You notice that this cornet has harmonic flutes. It has tapered pipes. It has flared pipes. It has straight-sided, conical, straight-sided principal pipes. And some may ask, where on earth did he come up with the idea to have all these different kinds of pipe forms mixed up in these cornet stops and these mutations? Because if you remember, the carillon mixture in the solo division has stopped harmonic flutes, open pipes, regular harmonic flutes, and a gedeckt in there in 4 ranks. I guess it doesn't have a regular harmonic. It has a stopped harmonic flute pipe. All different kinds of pipe forms. The carillon mixture in the swell has open pipes, cylindrical, flared, tapered, all different styles. Where did that come from? I'll tell you exactly where it came from. It came from a guy in England named George Ashdown Audsley. G.A. Audsley. That's right, folks. I know a lot of you have his book at home called The Art of Organ Building, written in the early 1900s. What does that have to do with this? Take a look, get out your Dover edition and turn to page 463. You will see a chart of all the different kinds of pipe forms you could use in a compound stop to create different effects. Emerson Richards was a big fan of Audsley's. How do we know? Because here at Boardwalk Hall, over in one of the library rooms, they have an original signed copy of The Art of Organ Building by G.A. Audsley, autographed, dedicated to Emerson Richards, and it came from the Richards estate. So we know he read that book and took it to heart. Now, he didn't use everything that Audsley said, because Audsley was a big fan of lower wind pressures than anything that was used here. But many of his ideas on the concert room organ and harmonic corroborating stops and compound stops were used almost verbatim out of his book. So that's where, and I invite, seriously, if you have a copy of The Art of Organ Building, take a look. You'll be amazed at how much of the design was lifted straight out of Audsley's ideas. So that concludes this part of the lecture. And I'm going to try to play something. I don't know if it's going to make it in the video or not. There's a lot going on at the hall. But I'm going to wrap this up and hopefully see you down at the console.